Week 13 of the fantasy basketball season. And here's a few guards I will look to buy low and trade for. And what a day it was yesterday. With a lot of trades going down, I believe about 15 deals went down on deadline day. So a lot of things posted the last couple days about trades. If you haven't checked any of the trade videos out to get the latest news to see where some players got moved, go check out those trade videos because they're up on the channel and people that are actually viewing them here, so that's a good thing. But anyway, today this is buy low at the guard position and guys to trade for. The first guard is Kyle Lowry of the Toronto Raptors. So speaking of trades, Kyle Lowry, he was supposedly close to being dealt to the 76ers or the Heat, but those trades fell through and didn't happen. Instead, the Heat got Victor Oladipo in a big deal. And the Sixers, they just made a minor deal getting George Hill. So on the season, Kyle Lowry, he's ranked 40th in fantasy basketball, 17.4 points a game, 5.6 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 1 steal a game, 2.8 threes a game, 88% from the foul line, and 43% from the field. So Lowry now, he's staying in Toronto. I believe he's a free agent after the season, but now with a couple moves that Toronto made to get rid of some pretty decent pieces in trading Norman Powell to the Portland Trail Blazers, and also a couple younger guys like Terrence Davis and Matt Thomas. So right here, Kyle Lowry, the playing time's still going to be there, and the production will still be there. And this Raptor team, I know they're pretty much out of the playoff hunt here, unless they go on a winning streak. But I think Lowry, he's going to put up big numbers, and he's a player whose value ain't that high right now, even though the last few games he's been pretty decent. March 20th at Cleveland, 18 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 threes. March 22nd at Houston, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 threes. And a few nights ago, in what he thought was his farewell game, waving to the cameraman and everything, 8 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 threes, and a block. So Lowry, I don't think you got to break the bank to get him. And I think now he'll finish off the season strong here with Toronto. And I would go out there and buy him low. The next player I would look to buy low is Lou Williams, the new Atlanta Hawks. So Lou goes back to his hometown in Atlanta, Georgia, with the Atlanta Hawks, a team he played with for years in his heyday. And this season, it's just been a struggle, though, for Lou Williams. He's ranked 198th in fantasy basketball, 12.1 points a game, 2.1 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.1 threes a game, 42% from the field, and 86% from the foul line. So sweet Lou. There was just a lot of guys over there in LA, and last season he just wasn't motivated as well once the NBA came back to the bubble. But now he goes back to his hometown, and obviously that Atlanta Hawk team, their bench really isn't that strong. So I believe Lou Williams, he's going to be a strong part of that bench, and I think the numbers are going to bump back up this season. 12 points a game. Last season he had 18 points a game. And I think he's going to meet in the middle and bump it up to 15 points per game and be the sixth man here for this Hawk team that they've definitely been riding high of late, winning 7 or 8 games in a row, I believe, this Hawk team. And Lou Williams, he's a perfect bench guy to come off the bench, come in and score and relieve Trae Young for a few minutes. That's Lou Williams. I would go out there and buy him low. And he might be available in most fantasy leagues. He's only owned in 45%. But now with Atlanta, I think the numbers are going to go back up and he's going to be motivated. The next guard is Terrence Ross of the Orlando Magic. So Terrence Ross, I thought he was going to get traded as well. We saw Aaron Gordon. We saw Vukovic in a surprising trade go to Chicago. And we saw Evan Fournier. But Terrence Ross, the last man standing after a crazy trade deadline and a sell dumpster fire for the Orlando Magic. But Ross, he's been banged up the last couple games with right knee soreness. On the season, he's ranked 101, 16 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 1.1 steals, 2.3 threes a game for Ross, 41% from the field and 89% from the line. So Terrence Ross, he's been banged up, like I said, with the knee trouble, and he's been out since March 14th, but now we're pretty much knowing over there in Orlando. They traded their 3 main scorers. Terrence Ross, in my opinion, he's probably the best scorer on this Orlando Magic team right now. And he's a player that definitely could get things going. We know he's a big-time scorer, and he's going to play his role and come off the bench or possibly even start now and have the ball in his hands a lot, because right now this Magic team's a bunch of young guys who are learning on the job, when Terrence Ross, he's pretty much one of the only few veterans on the team, and he's going to try to be a leader on this team, and he's going to be a better fantasy player as well, with just the usage going up a ton, I think. And Ross, you could definitely buy him low right now, especially with the injury. And also, he's available still in 35% of fantasy leagues. So Terrence Ross, I think he's a good get to get on your fantasy team. So like I said, the Magic, they don't really have anyone. And Ross, he's going to be the number one option there. The next guard, Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. You're definitely still going to have to pay a pretty big price to get Curry. But now with the tailbone injury and him missing about 7 games once he comes back next week, supposedly, his value is definitely at its lowest it's been this season with the injury. And this Warrior team, they're struggling. They didn't really make any deals to improve at the deadline as well. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're out of the hunt in the next 3-4 weeks that Steph Curry gets shut down early this season. But what a magical season and great season it's been for Curry, though. 29 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 6.2 assists, 1.4 steals, a whopping 4.7 threes a game, 93% from the foul line, and 47% from the field. So I'm a Steph Curry owner in a couple leagues, and it's been a great season for him, no doubt about it. But right now, I'm struggling to try to get into the playoffs, and if I can't wait for Curry, I would have to sell him off and probably have to take a discount, which I'm not going to do personally, but there might be managers out there panicking, and they don't want to wait a couple more games for Steph Curry to come back, and they're trying to make a push for the playoffs now. So obviously the value is still going to be high for Curry, but with the injury, it's at its lowest it's been this season. So if somehow you can pounce on him and get a little bit of a discount in a deal, this is the time to do it for Curry. And the fifth and final guard I would look to buy low or trade for this week's Derrick Rose of the New York Knicks. So Rose, he's been out pretty much for the last 3 weeks with the protocols and the virus, and he was out 3 weeks, and he said he was struggling with it, and now the conditioning is the problem, but that's normal after a 3-week layoff and getting drained with an illness like that. But on the season, Derrick Rose, he's been pretty solid, and his career has been resurrected over the last few seasons. On the season, 13.5 points a game, 2.2 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.2 steals a game, 85% from the foul line, and 43% from the field. So Derrick Rose, once he gets back into shape and his conditioning on par, for this Knicks team, I think he's going to play a major role. Alfred Payton, he's not cutting it. He's the starter right now, but obviously the Knicks went out there months ago to get Derrick Rose, because Tom Thibodeau, obviously, he don't believe in Payton much. And Emmanuel Quickly, he's been a great rookie this season, no doubt about it, but I think he fits better coming off the bench. So I think once Derrick Rose comes back and the Knicks try to make that final playoff push, which they didn't really make a major deal either at the trade deadline, where I thought maybe they could have got a point guard or trade for Drummond, even though they're going to try to sign Drummond now after a buyout. But I doubt it happens. But anyway, Derrick Rose, I think he's going to come back, play major minutes for this Knicks team. Alfred Payton, I don't think is better than him. And like I said, Quickly's a player coming off the bench, so you could definitely get Rose on the cheap right now, and he's even available in 42% of fantasy leagues. So that's a few guards I would look to buy low and trade for here in Week 13 of the fantasy basketball season.